Now, it was a bit of a cold weekend for some of the NFL games as the Wildcards were taking place this weekend. Let's go to Houston. C.J. Stroud dominant in his first career playoff start, throwing for 274 yards, 3 touchdowns. The Texans were up by 10 at the half, holding the Browns scoreless in the second, too, steamrolling to a 45-14 win. Now, it was a lot colder in Kansas City. The Chiefs scoring in every quarter, and the visiting Miami Dolphins may be frozen in the cold, losing 26-7. Quarterback Patrick Mahomes finished with 262 passing yards and 1 touchdown. Now, there's 2 more NFL wildcard games taking place today. 4:30, you got the 12-5 Cowboys hosting the 9-8 Packers. And tonight at 8:15, the LA Rams up in Detroit taking on the Lions. Now, there was also the Bills-Steelers game that was scheduled for today, but because of the snowstorms, pushed to tomorrow afternoon. All right, so now we've given you the scene setter. Let's dive into the bigger questions here and the stories involved with TSN 1050's host, Matt Cauz. Always appreciate talking with you, Matt. Let's talk about the stories. And I think the big one that we saw a little bit yesterday was how much the weather impacted some of the visiting teams like Miami. Almost seemed like they were frozen on the field. And we saw, even helmets cracking in terms of the amount, like looking at Patrick Mahomes' helmet. Now, just looking at that particular part there, do you think the Rams are at a disadvantage right now visiting Detroit because they're coming from L.A. and the balmy conditions there?
No, it should be fine because Detroit is in a dome, so the weather won't be much of an impact there. In fact, all of our weather talk will have to wait till tomorrow to see what it's like in Buffalo. As you mentioned, they had to move the game. And the helmet that you were talking about, Patrick Mahomes' helmet cracking, I've never seen that before. In terms of the biggest story with Detroit and the Rams, this is all about the quarterback situation. Jared Goff gets Detroit a division win for the first time since the early 90s. Well, Jared Goff was booted off of the Rams for Matt Stafford, who just happened to be the quarterback of the Lions for about 12, 14 years. So that's one of the great stories. And then with Dallas and Green Bay, it's about the former Packer coach, Mike McCarthy, taking on his former team. So there's a lot of great storylines that are gonna happen today. And people should stay inside and watch the games versus be out in that cold weather.
Good point, Matt. Now, just about the shattered helmet, Mahomes is talking about it being probably because of the cold, but any worries there?
No, I don't think so. Like watching him after that hit, there wasn't really any wobbly moments. It didn't seem like that he was dealing with a massive concussion or anything like that. I mean, you always want to keep an eye on it because head trauma is a mystery, but there was nothing after that moment that would say physically he was majorly impaired from that moment. It was just aesthetically something very strange to see.
Now, just going back to some of the stories in play today, the Cowboys taking on the Packers. Will this be, you think, maybe the tightest game of the weekend? We saw so many blowouts yesterday.
I think I'm going to say the Rams and the Lions will be the closest one. But the thing with Dallas and Green Bay, all the pressure is on the Cowboys. Mike McCarthy, will he still be the coach if they lose? Will they go after Bill Belichick? Dak Prescott, everyone's always yelling and screaming about how good is he. He always puts up a lot of numbers, but doesn't have as many big wins in the playoffs. Kind of reminds a little bit of the Maple Leafs. So there's all the pressure on the Cowboys. There's none on Green Bay. They're the youngest team in the NFL. This is like $20 in your jeans. They're playing with found money. So that's what's fascinating about that game. It's just all the pressure on the Cowboys to look good and win, which they've done all year. They're probably the best home team in the NFL this season.
Well, what about the Chiefs? You know, we wonder almost if this is a dynasty brewing in some capacities. But with less than a month away, do you think that they're the favorites at this time, or has the landscape shifted?
Yeah, the landscape, I think, has shifted. I think it's the Baltimore Ravens. And by the way, give the Chiefs credit. Their passing game looked better in that horrible weather than we've seen almost all year. But the Baltimore Ravens are the #1 seed. The Ravens have the most blowout wins against playoff teams. The Ravens deserve to be the favorite. But if rookie Rashee Rice, who had like 130 yards, and if Travis Kelce is as productive as we saw last night, then then Kansas City deserves, oh boy, look at that. Then Kansas City deserves to be at least considered a almost co-favorite with the Ravens. I'll give the Ravens a slight edge because of the regular season they've had. but that was the best we've seen from the Chiefs passing offense in a long time.
All right, most important question here, Matt. With the game tomorrow, we need a lot of people helping out to shovel in Buffalo. You want to get a job for $20 an hour?
Absolutely not. I will stop near the Niagara region of Canada and go hang out at the wineries there and watch that game with a glass of Pinot. Look at me. This is not the body of someone that is supposed to be shoveling. That looks cold there.
It is cold. You know what? We need to preserve you, Matt Cauz.
Yes,
We need to keep you safe, Matt, just so that you can always talk with us basically whenever we need you. Thanks very much, as always. Matt Cauz with TSN 1050 is joining us as always. Thank you for your time.